Greetings, YouTube travelers. Strategic Sage here, welcoming you to a new series. This is Emperor, Rise of the Middle Kingdom. I think this series should be a lot of fun. It's going to be the launching point into the next chapter of the too-long-delayed Historic Perspectives mega project. If you're not familiar with that, check out the links in the description below. But basically, the short version is journeying throughout all of human history using various games appropriate to the different time periods, both for entertainment, but also to examine some of the perspectives and themes that arise. And we're going to be looking at a couple of the great ancient civilizations here. Obviously, in this game, Emperor, we'll be looking at China. And then we're also going to be using Egypt Old Kingdom to take a look at Egypt, doing a bit of a compare and contrast, West and East type of scenario. And Emperor was released in 2002 by Impressions Games. It's the fourth and final in their city building series. And in my opinion, the best. There's a lot of good history here, some that's muddled as well, especially early on. But it also introduces a very interesting puzzle type of mechanic with the feng shui. Now, there is an opening cinematic to it that I was unable to record for you. Thankfully, there is a video of it that I have down in the description, but just technical issues, modern computers not working too well with older software. But let's get to what we're going to be getting involved in here. And there's a couple options for creating Emperor. You've got to put in a name, or you can choose a historic one. And then you need to choose your zodiac animal representing one of the astrological signs of the zodiac. That is not just cosmetic. There is a gameplay aspect to that we will see later on, a minor one, but it's still important to have it. So I have set up my particular character using the snake, which does represent my birth year. And then we're going to go into the historical campaigns. And there's a number of these. There's approaching, I think it's 48, something like that, missions overall. So there's a lot of content in this game. And we're going to start, of course, from the beginning. So we'll be looking at the Shah Dynasty tutorials. Begin your journey into ancient China here with these simple tutorial missions. It is here in the time of the prehistoric Shah Dynasty that our people first learned to work the land for sustenance and shelter. To prevent stumbles later, travel now down the path of the Shah. Listen closely and learn all that our venerated ancestors have to teach us. Now, this line about this being the time when they first learned to work the land for sustenance and shelter, yeah, that's not true. We'll get to that.
Welcome to ancient China, home to the world's oldest continuous civilization. You are about to travel back in time over 4,000 years. For it was then, along the fertile banks of the Wei River, that several families banded together, discarded their nomads' cloaks, and established a small settlement. As village elder, it is your duty to plan the layout of this new settlement. You will be called upon to provide your people with food and water, as well as a means to slake their spiritual thirst.
Okay, so we need to establish a small village. 150 people or better and decent dwellings is our goal. And for this game, I'm going to be doing a challenge run. Very hard difficulty, which is the highest of the 5 choices. I'm also going to be leaning into the puzzle aspect for a pristine setup. And what I mean by pristine is perfect feng shui. We're going to not be clearing any trees in order to accommodate that. Not going to be going into debt. And any of the appropriate ones of the minor quests they eventually start sending your way will be getting as well. If there's any mission on which I'm not able to do that, there'll be an asterisk in the title of the video to indicate it. Shouldn't be any problem in the early going, at the very least. This is Emperor's primary way of explaining itself to the player, these info panels that pop up. For the tutorials, you've got text and pictures to guide you. For the many, many help screens in the game, it's just text. And there's a ton of great explanations in here. I think they really do a good job with it. It's like an in-game Wikipedia, treasure trove of information. You can't say they're not telling you enough, but it works better in theory than in practice. If you want to go through and follow with a tutorial, you need to go through, find the next thing they want you to do. Okay, you click out, you go find whatever it is they want you to build or what actions you need to take. And then, oh, well, what do I need to do next? Well, you go down to messages, you click back in here. You know, it's tedious, far better in theory than in practice. So what we're going to do is just sort of skip all of that, and I'll be explaining things as they come up. If we go to the Empire map, I want to get a look at our overall historical picture because it's not exactly as it's described in the game, particularly here at the beginning. February 2038 BCE. Okay, so we are settling the village of Banpo, and this is supposed to be the origins of the Shah Dynasty. Well, that doesn't fit for a couple reasons. One, we're not even certain the Shah existed. There's no direct evidence. It's sort of a traditional acceptance, of course, but we are several hundred years before the earliest writings that come out of China, and when those are found, the Shah are nowhere in them. They don't appear until much later. But if the Shah existed, they did not exist at Banpo. Banpo is a type site for the earlier Neolithic Yangshao culture. And so those two are just sort of fused together in a way that I don't think is very helpful. Definitely a bit distorting there. Banpo, there are many interesting things about it. Possibly a matriarchal culture. They appeared to be experimenting off and on with early agriculture, not as their only means of sustenance, but they were doing some work in that area. And a lot of the things about this actual city setup itself are very good. Early crops, definitely the same ones that they believe were used at Banpo. They have early industries the same. You've got this, you see the stream here, there's this moat surrounding the area, that was there. So it's a good representation, it just doesn't fit with the Shah. In any case, one of the really interesting things that's worth exploring about Banpo is it's one of the earliest, possibly even the earliest, example of feng shui in practice. What they would do with their houses is they were dug into the earth about a meter down, and then they were all oriented in the same direction. And both of these are for insulation, obviously getting insulation from the earth, but they're oriented towards the most direct rays of the sun during the winter solstice. And so, the sun would shine in and some of the heat would get trapped, additional insulation, solar gain. And so this is the very earliest practical type of application of feng shui, which the idea behind it is that there is a natural order. And you want to be in harmony with the natural order, both, personally and also in the ways that you're constructing things on appropriate land at appropriate times of year, etc. And this is to maximize your chi, your vital energy, your life force. So they would orient buildings towards various directions on the compass, or they would orient them towards different astrological observations, or perhaps towards different bodies of water. Modern studies of feng shui, very complex. I'm not going to get into all of that, but the in-game representation is that each type of building that you construct has an element associated with it, one of the 5 elements, which are earth, metal, water, wood, and fire. So, our common housing that we want to build is associated with wood. Now, the reason that matters is we don't like rocks, which is why it's yellow over here. This is inauspicious or bad feng shui. If it's in these green areas, we like these areas. These are auspicious or harmonious feng shui. And then, of course, if you try to build it somewhere illegal, then you get this red appearing everywhere. So we want to get a bunch of housing built up, and we're going to want to do it in areas that are green, obviously. Now, the practical effect of feng shui in the game is it increases a number of things. For our immediate concern, we are going to note that it increases our popularity with the people, and it can also reduce, or actually rather bad feng shui can increase the likelihood of disease outbreak, which we don't want. So there are other benefits we will get to explore later. Now they want you to build 10 plots initially. We're going to actually build 13. We're going to go a little bit higher. I'm going to want a larger labor pool. And then we're just going to unpause here and observe what happens. And we can see we've got newcomers coming in. And if we go ahead and walk down here, we can see them gradually bringing in their carts to come visit us in the city. And everybody you can see along the road virtually will have something interesting to say.
There are plenty of opportunities for honorable labor in this city.
I feel uneasy about moving to a new city.
You worry too much. I think we'll prosper here.
So some of them are just sort of interesting, and some of them can be rather amusing. But these are just unoccupied vacant lots, and all you have to do is place them down. People will come in on whatever the access road is for the city. It doesn't even have to be connected to where you're putting the housing. They'll go across empty terrain if they have to. And they come in, and then they do this. So we have... These are upgraded now to shelters because somebody lives there. These are the different things that they can store in the house for their well-being later on. Of course, they don't have anything right now. And then these will each hold up to 7. And we need water if this is to evolve. So now we need to start providing some services. First of all, we're going to put up a roadblock. And the reason we're going to do that is when services walk around, you don't want them to have to make choices at intersections. Because then they'll go whichever way. Even if I had the roadblock a couple places back, they would come in here and then come back. And this roadblock will keep them from going out this way. So they'll only move around this loop, this housing loop, that we're going to want them to serve. So if we go to safety, we're going to want to build water. So we're going to get a well. And we're also going to need an inspector's tower, because without this, they will burn down. Now the inspector's tower uses the earth element. And so it needs to be nearby rocks. So housing doesn't like rocks, inspector's towers do. And you can see it's yellow here. But we get a little bit closer here, we get a little bit closer to this, it turns green. That's what we want. So we're going to put it there. And then they will send out a guard, or inspector rather, to walk around. Now here's our water person.
I could think of worse place to live in this city. Like the Taklamakan Desert.
In other words, not too impressed with the city.
These buildings are as solid as Mount Tation.
Now, if we take a look at hazards here, and this is these scale up very quickly. You see, this one's about to catch fire, and now they walk by, and it goes down. We just got this up in time, and these are going up again. And they would go up much slower if we were not on very hard difficulty. But you need to have inspectors regularly passing by, or you're going to get fires, things collapsing, and we're already getting stirrings of unrest. Now, the reason we're getting that, we can see all of those here as well, is just basically the difficulty. We haven't actually unlocked a lot of the stuff that we're going to need to reduce unrest this early in the game. So what I am going to do is jump ahead a little bit to something they want you to do a bit later in this same tutorial mission, and place an Ancestral Shrine here. And this is for religious coverage. Whenever you place a building like this, it takes a few seconds to activate. Then you can see the animation, and then not too long after that, you will see, there we go, this person is providing ancestral coverage. Whoops.
The people have not been paying proper respect to their ancestors. Our city may suffer misfortune.
Okay, we'll get into how you do that later, but our diviner is going to walk around. And this building provides increased desirability nearby. It'll help a little bit with unrest and also help these buildings go up to the next level. Now, notice that we're up from shelter to hut. We need bland food before the house can improve. Okay, so we need to provide food next. We've done the shelter part, and now we're doing the sustenance part of the mission. So we're going to look at agriculture, land and sea, and hunter's tent. And the tutorial wants you to build 2 of these, but I'm only going to build 1, mostly for feng shui purposes, but we also don't need more. If I build one down here, these do not need inspectors. And then if I were to try to build another one over here, we actually don't like any of those areas, do we? So we're going to pass on that. We've got this little guy here, and let's follow along as, there we go. They're going to go out there, hunt all of these pheasant. There we go. There's our hunter.
Pheasant, pork, venison, whatever delicacy the imperial dining room requires, I will provide it.
Oh, good for you. So for places like this, not the hut, I want the shrine. Ancestral Shrine, you can turn them off, and nobody will work there, and you get the employees back. So that's an interesting possibility. Also here, we can do the same thing, and also here. And so we can see that we have plenty of employees for what we need. All of that is good. So they bring in carcasses at an amazing pace because they are fully supplied. And there's plenty of pheasant around in this area. They come back, you can see the meat there. And now we've got this delivery person.
I have better things to do than stand here idle with these goods. city needs more warehouse room to take my heavy load.
We need somewhere to bring the meat. You don't just bring the raw meat around to people's houses. So, what we need to do is go to commerce, and we're going to build a mill. I'm going to throw it just on this side of the moat or river. Now, these you can't turn off, mills and warehouses, because they have to juggle supply. There are some settings here. You can put this on get. Empty means get rid of all of that product. Don't accept it. Accept it. Or get, which is a higher priority. And we definitely want it to take all the meat. But these are essentially your distribution centers, so if you can't turn them off because then there would be nobody to manage the supply and get it where it needs to go. So once you've built one of these, you either destroy the building or you leave it up. Now we do need to very quickly now get, if I can get down here to do it, we need to get an inspector's tower up. And another roadblock so they don't go wandering off this way. Because the mill will burn down if you do not get that done. Yes, unrest is going up. We know. We don't particularly care. And then he's gonna walk by here. And then he's going to reach this roadblock and then turn around and come back. So that he will be keeping that mill from having any problems operating. So now we need to get up a market square for our food, which is also under commerce. And we're going to throw that right down here. There we go. But just the market square is not enough. You also need shops, and we're going to put a food shop up. And now, as time unfolds, we're going to see that operate. Here comes our buyer.
Many people are depending on me for high-quality meals. I sure hope the mill has enough supplies to fill my order.
Now, as we go forward in the game, it's important to have the market square and the mill not too far away, because otherwise it won't be able to logistically supply enough. And then we've got all these servants.
Ooh, the girl at the tea shop is looking my way. Quick, take my basket so I can go talk to her.
And some of the things they say can be rather amusing.
Dragon meat, you'll have to go ahead and get it yourself. And keep your hands out of my food baskets.
Yeah, we're not serving any dragon meat here, thank you. But now that we have food, you can see it's activated. We can click on this. You can see there's 400 food, and they're distributing it. Now, the quality of food depends on how many ingredients you have, how many different types of food. And of course, we only have meat, so they have meat sliced soup. How exciting! There's a different name for each of the foods depending on what combination of ingredients you get. And as you can see with the houses now upgrading to the plain cottages that we need, so we need enough people in here to continue that. Once we get 150 in the plain cottages, we're going to win this mission. We're peddlers going around distributing the food.
Well done. You have successfully built a small village and fed them well on meat provided by the hunters. It is easy to see that you learn quickly. Press the proceed button to continue on to the next mission, where your people will learn how to coax seedlings from the fertile land.
Okay, so next up is going to be agriculture. But one final point about the housing here, it's very much a quality over quantity type of idea. You generally increase your population best by having a limited amount of housing, but you upgrade them gradually. Each level requires more things. You know, initially we just had to put them down, and then they needed water, and then they needed food, and they will need more things as we continue to escalate. So that's been our first adventure in Emperor: Rise of the Middle Kingdom, and we will remain in the village of Banpo for our next mission, but we will have different things to accomplish. Thanks for joining me. We'll see you then.